Just because there's a lot of money on the table does not mean it's the right amount of money. Today, we're going to talk about settlements. We're going to talk about resolutions. We're going to talk about making sure you've got the right resolution. Let's get into it. So we have this young lady that approached our office because she was not happy with the attorney that she had. She had suffered a significant injury with a commercial policy vehicle, and her attorney was pushing her with regards to accepting $87,000, and she asked us to analyze the case. As soon as I saw what was going on with the case, I immediately said, whoa, 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 this is not right. And let's go through all the different things that she was experiencing that we can talk about to make sure that you're maximizing the valuation as related to your injury case. So this young lady was a passenger in a car that got demolished, and I saw no evidence of this. One of the things that you've got to do in a situation like this, especially when the evidence is so bad against the defendant, is to preserve that as much as possible. If you've got pictures, get those pictures. If you've got audio, then grab it. If you can get cameras from surrounding areas with regards to documenting exactly what happened, use that. In this situation, we were able to get one of the local cameras to provide us the evidence that we needed to show us evidence of the collision, and it was absolutely beneficial with regards to documenting. This is why we're seeking so much money in terms of damages. The next thing that we saw that was a big red herring for me was that they were not utilizing her healthcare bills and bills that she had incurred to their advantage. And let me explain what I mean by that. There was a big issue of subrogation, whereas the client was hospitalized for her injuries for a long period of time, incurred a six-figure bill, and this was just not being utilized. What you can do in situations like that is you can contact that healthcare provider, let them know that you can advocate as related to those bills. You can include those bills as portions of your damages, and then you can increase the amount that you're looking for and that you can recover for by working out a deal where you can get a piece of those as part of your damage model. So subrogation is a very important part of what goes on here. And this other law firm decided to leave that out of the equation, which means that they were leaving hundreds of thousands of dollars out of that particular equation. That's a big mistake. So the other thing that we found out was her life was now changed. Although she had recovered significantly, she still had a little bit of a limp that she was dealing with because of some reconstructive issues that she had, and her life was changed. So what we did was we got a videographer to go out and document a day in the life video to kind of show what she was doing before versus what she's able to do now. When you're able to document those types of differences and how your life has changed and how you're not as happy, maybe your body type has changed and you're not as fulfilled as you were because of the negligence of someone else, those day in the life videos can be really key in just documenting and showing the other side the story that you're going to tell to that jury if they make the mistake and not settle the case out with you. Okay, so in this situation, this young lady, I think a big part of her component was, what did her future medical look like? What might that be in terms of additional professionals and folks that are going to have to be in her life in order for her to live a more normal lifestyle moving forward? That is altered now. And what the last attorney did not properly do was to put together a life care plan, complete with costs, expenses, and expert opinions with regards to this is what it's going to take for this young lady to move forward in life in a reasonable fashion, and calculating that as an important part of your damages. Because you're looking at hundreds of thousands of dollars in additional damages to a particular case, you've got to spend the money to prepare the information to let the other side know, listen, this needs to be a component of what you're adding into your damage model. And this other attorney firm had failed to completely do this. Something that you've got to do is you've got to not only look at the medical bills that you've incurred to date, what does the future prognosis look like for you? What medical providers need to be involved? What bills are you going to incur? What does that look like? You need to hire a life care planner. That life care planner is going to just document all of these issues, give their expert opinion with regards to who needs to be a part of your client's life so they can live it as normally as possible. These things typically can be very expensive, right? And so if you've got their reports, their costs, their information, you can add that into your damage model, and that can add hundreds of thousands of dollars that the other side has to consider in terms of giving you a fair valuation for your case. One of the other things that you need to look at is your client's earning capacity for the future going to be changed or limited due to the negligence of the defendant? For example, if they were a truck driver, right, and they could work 10 hours at a time before, and now they can only work 5 hours at a time, then that is a significant reduction in the amount of income that they can earn moving forward. All those things need to be calculated as part of that damage model to make sure you're capturing these different components and getting your fair compensation from the other side. One thing that most lawyers just totally forget about is the psychological and the emotional trauma that's involved in these particular accidents. So whenever it's necessary, we always get an expert to get involved, to let us know and to document how this has psychologically and emotionally affected my client's life. If it's going to take years of additional therapy, there's a cost to that. If this is going to be a permanent disability, there's another cost to that particular aspect. So documenting the effect, the psychological effect that these accidents have is so important and key to adding these key components that can add significant dollars to the value of your case. So one of the things that I see so often in my cases is that when I put a six-figure check into my client's hands, many times they cannot handle it, right? And they've got friends and family, allegedly, coming around, hey, let me borrow this, let me do that. And before you know it, 6 months later or a year, that money is gone. What I typically do is I get someone, a financial services person, to consult with my client, to put them on a budget, to take the money out of their hands so that even if the client wants to give it away, they can't. While they still have access and they can get done what they need to get done, usually that financial services person can be a gatekeeper and can put together a financial plan for your client so that you can prepare for the future so that years from now, you've got something, as opposed to many of these clients that just spend that money as quickly as it comes in. So in this particular case, one of the things that I think that got us over the hill, over $1 million in terms of a resolution, was getting the family to testify with regards to what was going on and how the client's life has been changed. Never underestimate the importance or the significance of supporting witness testimony. If you've got a significant other that can let you know how their life has changed, if you've got a parent that can tell you, hey, my kid doesn't come over, isn't the same person, that can honestly justify and show you how their quality of life is different, that is something hugely important for the other side to consider, especially if that person was to testify to a jury as related to what they believe is going on in your client's life. That can add significant dollars to a settlement without any doubt. As I mentioned to you at the beginning, a client came to us with an $87,000 settlement. We sent that client back to care. We got other professionals involved. We actually filed the lawsuit, and we ended up settling this case for $1.35 million. Our job wasn't done then, even though we had a fantastic result and the client was super happy with what was going on. But what we still did thereafter was still negotiate some of those medical bills down, right? So that our client was able to enjoy even more money and put it in her pocket. So just because you get that big result, your job is not over yet, right? You want to make sure what is a reasonable amount of medical bills to reduce that settlement number to, so that your client can put as much of that money in their pocket as possible. And that's when the job was done, when my client was happy with that final resolution. So in wrapping up, guys, one of the things that I want to make sure to emphasize, In this situation that I'm talking to you about, the client was going to walk away with about $25,000 with that former attorney. Now, it did take us probably about another 11 months or so to get the case resolved. But when we got that case done, the client was able to put almost $500,000 in her pocket. And we're really proud of that because we took a chance to take a look at things, to reevaluate things, and to let the client know we did not agree with the prior attorney's strategy, and we were able to get to that really good result on behalf of that client. So what did you guys think? Like, comment, subscribe. Let us know what else you want to hear and the information that we can supply for you. Okay? I want to hear your comments. I want to know what you think, and I can't do it unless you put it in writing. As always, guys, I'm Attorney Darren Miller, and this is, of course, DLAW.